It's good to be back. Hello everyone. Today I will be sharing with you my summer TBR. Hello my lovely friends. I have missed you so much. Sorry for my extended hiatus. Currently at the minute it is Monday, which means that I still have to revise my final paper and then write my last 20-page paper. However, when this goes up, which I think is going to be Thursday, I will officially be done with graduate school and I will have graduated with my master's in information and library science. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Today, I will be sharing with you my summer TBR, as well as the books that I'm probably going to be picking up in May, so it's kind of like a summer/May TBR hybrid. However, before we get started in any of that, a word from today's sponsor. Put down my lemonade. Book of the month. Was that graceful? Nope. Okay. So once again, I am working with Book of the Month and I am so incredibly excited and appreciative because I love Book of the Month so much and I'm always really excited to tell you guys more about it. So in case you were unaware, let me tell you a little bit about Book of the Month. So Book of the Month is a book subscription service, but it's more than just that. Really, it's a ray of sunshine packaged in an aesthetically pleasing and iconic blue box. Every month, their team of experts vets upcoming releases and popular titles to create a carefully curated selection of 5 books to choose from. You simply read through the books and pick whichever book you want, and it is delivered to your door, much like Christmas, but all year round. It's also risk-free because you can choose to skip whenever you want if you're not feeling that month's selections, or you can choose from a backlist title. And they always have really great and super popular books to choose from. Now, without further ado, let me tell you about this month's selections. First up is How Lucky by Will Lietch. Being the sole witness to a crime proves complicated in this funny, heartwarming story of a hero hiding in plain sight. And this is contemporary fiction. Next up is Things We Lost to the Water, a moving, multi-generational saga about one family's attempts to weather the storms confronting them in an adopted home. This is a debut novel and historical fiction. Next up is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, the propulsive story of a new wife and stepmother who must unravel the mystery left behind when her husband disappears. This is a repeat author and a thriller. Next we have Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. This, by the way, is one of my most anticipated releases of the year and I am so excited. Bringing myth to life, this reimagined story of the Princess of Crete is a riveting tale of love and betrayal. This is a fantasy and a debut book. And finally, we have Imposter Syndrome by Kathy Wang. Big Brother turns out to be Big Sister in this piercing take on Silicon Valley and the misogyny that keeps it ticking. And this is a contemporary fiction. And if you would like to get your very first Book of the Month box for only $9.99, you can use the code MAYREADS. So if you're interested at all of the links will be down in the description as well as the code. Happy reading, my friends. And now let's go ahead and get on to the summer TBR. Also today I am drinking an ice cold lemonade and I am drinking it out of a mason jar because I am southern as all get out. However, I'm also drinking it with a metal straw because save the sea turtles. So I figured instead of doing a dedicated May TBR, I would kind of share with you all of the books that I really want to get to this summer. And I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. The first is that every single season, I usually like to have a dedicated TBR just so that you can kind of know the upcoming releases I'm really excited about. I do this every single year. I can go ahead and link below summers in the past. But second of all, I didn't read any books last month. I'm not even kidding you. I got close to finishing one book, but I did not read a single book because of all of the freaking papers. I actually added it up and I have written over the past 2 weeks over 100 pages worth of academic research and analytical essays. And I'm not even done because I have to turn in another 20-page paper. So May is a little bit of like a catch-up month for me. But also, I kind of want to start reading some of the books on this list as well. Some of the books that I'm going to be talking about I also don't have because they are being released later in the summer, but I'll go ahead and pop the image on the screen as well when I talk about them. So without further ado, let me tell you all the books I want to read this summer. Okay, first let's go ahead and kick things off with all of the middle grade I wanted to read this summer. And we can start with the book club picks for A Touch of Whimsy. So as a lot of you guys know, I have a book club with one of my best friends in the whole entire world, Kaylin from Kaylin Abridged. And because of me, because I haven't had a lot of time, May is kind of gonna be like a little bit of a catch-up month. Our live show for The Secret Garden, which was April's book, is actually going to happen mid-May, and we are currently kind of trying to figure out all of the dates with the other hosts as well, but when I know for sure the exact dates, I will let you know. So what we're doing is we're kind of doing a combination of May and June. Our May and June pick is When You Trap a Tiger, and this is by Tae Keller. Also, I'm kind of obsessed with this cover. I think it is so beautiful. This is about Lily, and Lily lives with her grandmother. Grandma is always telling her all of these folk tales from Korea. And in these folk tales, she talks about tigers and how you should never trust tigers. But one day, a tiger from these stories actually appears to Lily and offers a deal to her. However, Lily isn't sure if she should take the deal or not. And that's kind of like the premise. I don't really know a lot more after that, but I'm really, really excited for this. I think it's gonna be really, really fun. When You Trap a Tiger. Next up, our July pick is Some Kind of Happiness, and this is by Claire Legrand. This is a book that I have wanted to read for such a long time. I think it's gonna be really, really important too because it deals with mental health rep in middle grade, which I think is extremely uncommon, and I'm hoping that it's gonna be really, really good. I've heard great things about it. So this follows Finley, and Finley is sent to live with her grandparents for the summer because her parents are currently fighting and kind of going through, I think, a bit of a divorce. Finley is really struggling to figure out exactly how she's feeling about the situation, and as a form of escapism, she decides to make believe that she has created her own world. And so the summer just kind of follows her and her make-believe world, but also I think she's processing her emotions. I don't know how much of this is fantasy and how much is contemporary fiction, but I think it sounds really heartbreaking and touching, and I have very high expectations and hopes for it. And then finally, we have our August book. Originally, our August book was Love, Sugar, and Magic, but we're pushing that to the fall. So our new August pick is Amari and the Night Brothers, and this is by BB Alston. I heard about this book from Gavin. Gavin and Jade actually both read this for their middle grade book club. And by the way, if you have not heard of Middle Grade Monthly, I will leave all of the information down below. I always say to everyone, if you love middle grade, you should check out their middle grade book club as well because it's amazing. So Gavin told me about this, and also my friend Liv told me about this. I really, really wanted to read this for Gavin and Jade's middle grade book club, but I didn't get to it because the semester has just been, a lot. And so Kaylin and I decided just to like do it for our book club because we both really, really wanted to read this. The setup for this book sounds so amazing. Amari's brother Quentin goes missing, and one day she discovers a ticking briefcase in his closet. And somehow this briefcase actually transports her to a magical school where she learns she has a forbidden power. But the only thing that she's really interested in is trying to figure out what happened to Quentin. And then I have two other middle grades that I really, really, really want to read. The first one is When Life Gives You Mangoes, and this is by Keeren Getten. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know a lot about this. I heard about this from Gavin, whom I love. Gavin always has like the best middle grade recommendations ever. And he told me that he really, really enjoyed this. It's about a girl who suffers from short-term memory loss. She can't remember anything that happened the summer beforehand when a hurricane, I think, struck her island where she lives. And so this summer she's trying to recall what her brain has tried to forget. It's a little bit of a mystery. I think it's gonna be really cool, but also stunning cover. I mean, that is so pretty. And then the last middle grade that I am absolutely committing to, please hold me to this middle grade, is The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James by Ashley Herring Blake. I have put this on the past 2 of my summer TBRs. So this particular book is about Sunny, and Sunny has just gotten a new heart. Sunny has decided to kind of make like a bucket list for the summer, and the bucket list includes kissing a boy, getting a new best friend, and I think doing amazing things. She does meet a new best friend, but the problem is she starts to develop feelings, and she wonders if she even really wants to kiss a boy at all. I think like the representation sounds really, really cool. I also love that this is going to explore a lot of family dynamics. I remember her relationship with her mother was also a really big part of this. It also just seems like such a fun summer cover. I think I'm gonna love this. This needs to be a priority. It's gonna happen. Let's just take a minute, okay? Because this is beautiful. I mean, I really appreciate this cover. Okay, that's it for the middle grade. Let's go ahead and do YA next. Next up is a book that I have been eagerly excited to read for such a long time, and it is a total priority, and that is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This is about 3 sisters who all mysteriously disappear, and then when they reappear, they don't remember where they went. There's a little bit of magic in this as well. I don't know how much is gonna be like an urban fantasy and how much is just gonna be surrealism, but it sounds amazing. And it follows Iris, who is 17, and when one of her sisters goes missing, she has to try to put together the clues to find out what actually happened to her. I think it's gonna be really cool. It sounds really twisted, and I don't know, I'm like really into the vibe of this book, so I'm excited. Next up is A Lesson in Vengeance, and this is by Victoria Lee. The only thing that I know about this book is that it is dark academia, it is sapphic, and it involves witchcraft and a haunted boarding school. I mean, sign me the f up. Next up is The Ones We're Meant to Find, and this is by Joan. I don't exactly know how to pronounce this correctly, but the last name is H-E. I don't think it's pronounced he, and Google Translate has been zero help. The thing that first caught my eye was the cover. I think it is absolutely stunning, and I think that this releases in June. Let me check. No, it says that actually the publication is May 4th, so oh my gosh, that's gonna be my very first graduation present to myself. I'm just reading the very first part of this because it sounds impeccable and I don't wanna mess up the synopsis. It says, Cece has been trapped on an abandoned island for 3 years without any recollection of how she arrived or memories from her life prior. All she knows is that somewhere out there beyond the horizon, she has a sister named Kay. Determined to find her, Cece devotes her days to building a boat from junk parts scavenged inland, doing everything in her power to survive until the day she gets off the island and reunites with her sister. Amazing, I want it. And I think that is it for YA, so let me go ahead and show you my big pile for adult, and then that's it. The very first book that I really desperately want to read is Malibu Rising, and this is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This, I think, is gonna be released in June, but I will have the correct date on the screen somewhere. I am so incredibly excited about this. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is one of my very favorite books of all time, so I have very high expectations for this. But I'm intentionally not really looking too far into the book because I really like going into her books not knowing a lot. I do, however, know that this follows the descendants from the characters in Evelyn Hugo, and I also think that there's some crossover from Daisy Jones and the Six, so they both kind of exist in the same realm. I also know that it takes place in the 80s in California. I mean, what more could you want? Like, the vibes of that are already perfect for the summertime. Next up is The Chosen and the Beautiful, and this is by Niveau, and this is one of my most highly anticipated releases for the entire year. This was very kindly sent to me by the publisher, and I'm just very excited to finally read it. This is actually a Great Gatsby retelling. I also think that it's sapphic. I'm very excited about reading this. I think it's gonna be absolutely beautiful. Also, The Great Gatsby is one of my favorite books of all time, and it's actually also one of my very favorite movies of all time, so of course, like, I am so excited to read this. Next up, I have a couple romances. The very first one is Shipped, and this is by Angie Hockman. This was on my April TBR. This was supposed to be a buddy read with one of my friends, Allie. However, none of my buddy reads happened because there was absolutely no reading to be had last month for me. But this is definitely a book that I think is gonna be perfect for the summer, and I will be attempting to read it this May so that I can actually talk about it with Allie. And this is sort of like an enemies to lovers romance. This follows 2 people who are competing for the same position at their job, and then they are sent on a cruise together. And so even though they hate each other, they have to go onto this cruise. I think I've described it before as like Titanic but angry, and like, honestly, those are the vibes that I'm sticking with. Next Next up is a book that I got from last month's book box subscription from Book of the Month. I said that weird. And that is The People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is a friends to lovers romance that takes place in the summertime. The vibes in it, immaculate. So this follows Poppy and Alex. They go on vacation together after being best friends for their entire lives. I think they had a little bit of a falling out and they're trying to patch up some things on this vacation. And I think while they're on this vacation, some steamy stuff happens. At least that's what I'm projecting will happen. Let's hope I'm right. Next up, we have a book that I'm pretty sure was on my last summer TBR. It is a thriller and it is called The Guest List, and this is by Lucy Foley. I've heard really mixed things about it. I don't know if I'm gonna love it, but I did enjoy The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, so I think I'm gonna like it. So this follows a group of people who are all invited to a remote island in the summertime for a wedding. And while they are there, murder happens. We love to see it. Not in real life, obviously, but like in books, we love the drama, you know? Next up, we've got a little bit of a family drama, which is always a good time. And that is The Second Home by Christina Clancy. This particular book follows 3 siblings. They have to try to sell their New England family's second vacation house, but they decide to go one last summer and kind of relive all of their memories that happened the year before they stopped going. It sounds like there's gonna be some family drama, some family secrets, but also I love the setting. I love that it's all gonna happen in the coast of New England. I think that's gonna be really fun. And I don't know why, but for some reason, I really love family dynamic stories. So I think this is gonna be really fun. And finally, the very last book that I wanna read this summer is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This is another book that I think would be perfect in the fall time because it's dark academia. However, it's coming out in the summer, and that means I'm gonna read it this summer because I really get down with dark academia. So this follows Mariana, who is convinced that the Greek professor at Cambridge University is responsible for murdering students at the university. And she has decided to try to figure out how he's doing this, even if it means putting her own life at risk. So we've got the classic setting of dark academia. This is happening at a university, and apparently there is murder afoot. That's really all I know. I think it's gonna be really fun. I always love a good murder mystery, especially when it takes place at like a university. I love everything about dark academia. I love the aesthetic, I love the fashion, and I love the very dramatic and toxic things in the books. So I think it's gonna be really fun, and I'm not waiting until the fall to read that one. But I think that is it for all of the books that I really want to read this summer, you guys. Please let me know if you have any recommendations for me. Please tell me all of the books that you want to read down in the comments. I might add a ton to my Goodreads. It also might be like a good excuse for me to go book shopping. Oh, also, so many of you guys have been so extremely kind in sending me books, I think maybe as like a graduation present. Thank you, first of all. I'm planning to do a very big book haul in June, so I will be unwrapping all of those then. But thank you so much, by the way, as well. And I think that's it, you guys. So until next time, book lovers, keep your head in the clouds and your heart in a book, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye!
Always think of you when spring comes, like it's something in the air at that time. Don't know why. Always dream of you when spring comes. It's like the heat